Hello everybody, it's Bubbly4041 back with another Breyerfest related video. I just recently posted a video on my opinions of the Breyerfest 2017 model lineup, so please go watch that video if you haven't yet. This video, however, is going to be a Breyerfest live show guide, particularly about the youth and children's show, but many of the general ideas in this video can be applied to any show, novice or open. So I'm first going to start off, I'm just going to go through the different points, so things about preparation for the show, and then things about actually how it goes on show day, and even into the mind of the judge a little bit. So I'm first going to start off with the idea that knowledge is key when preparing for a model horse show. And by knowledge, I mean knowing your breed information and your color information related to those breeds. So the most important thing that you can do is to be familiar with as many different horse breeds as possible. Ponies, light horses, sport horses, draft horses, light breed horses, gaited horses, all the different divisions. Just be familiar with the breed standards and the conformation of as many of those breeds as possible. So your best friend is mainly going to be your breed books and the internet as well. So I have a few different breed books here. These ones I use quite often. These are smaller books, but there are of course larger breed books out there as well. This one I tend to use quite a bit. It's the Smithsonian's Handbook of Horses, and there's a whole lot of breed information in here, and it has pictures, it has specific descriptions based on the breed standard, it has characteristics, which kind of ties into these little points here, country of origin, influences, height, just history, breeding, a lot of information in this book. And then the other book that I have, another few books here, this one's a little bit more vague than the Smithsonian, but also another good resource to look into if you can find a breed in here and then compare the information from this book to this book. You know, just don't rely on one source, kind of look at a few different sources. But it does have, again, the size, colors, characteristics, pictures. Yep, so that's that book. And then I have this smaller book, which is actually a little bit more vague than purple one, but it has if it's rare, like common, if it's a pony, light horse, heavy horse, or if it's a color. This one says that it is a gaited breed, special qualities, height, place of origin again, and then in the back of this book it actually has this, which is parts of a horse. It's a diagram of different horse parts, and this is very important. You should definitely be familiar with this as a shower, because when you breed standards that you can find on breed specific websites, they'll usually have the breed standard of that breed. They tend to use a lot of this information, so like the croup, the poll, the forehead, the eyes, you know, the muzzle, the chest, girth, cannon bone, all of those kinds of things, neck, barrel, all of those terms you should be familiar with in order to help you better understand what the breed standard of a breed is actually talking about, and then to compare what that's saying to how your model is built. And this one also has breed association websites, which I think is really cool, because this is where you can go to find the breed standards of different breeds as well. Oh, and you can just, you know, look it up on the internet, of course, too. So, lots of good sources here, and the internet is awesome as well. I think the biggest issue that I see with live showing is people just, no fault of their own, but sometimes just not understanding the conformation of a breed and how it fits to their model. So by looking at that breed standard, understanding what it's telling you, and then being able to look at your own model and know what the croup is, know what the cannon bones are, know what it's saying if it's a convex or concave profile, just knowing all of those different things, and then being able to apply it to your horse. In addition to breed standard, there's also color. And color is in relation to the breed, so there's certain colors that different breeds do not come in, and it's important to know that information so that you can know whether your horse qualifies as that breed or even as a cross of that breed. So as an example, Arabians cannot be dilute, which means Palomino, buckskin, cremello, any of those kinds of colors that have a cream or dilute gene. They cannot be roan, and they cannot be Appaloosa. The only pinto pattern that an Arabian horse can be is Sabino. They cannot be Overo, they cannot be Tobiano. A Pintabean, which I have previously mistaken as a cross between a paint horse and an Arabian, that is not the case. Pintabeans are actually 99% Arabian, but they just have Tobiano coloring, and Tobiano coloring only, so you cannot have an Overo or a Sabino Pintabean. And then, of course, crosses. It's important to know that information for crosses as well, because if you have like a national show horse, it cannot be Appaloosa because Arabians and saddlebreds, which is what it is a cross of, the Appaloosa gene is not present in either of those breeds. So just knowing that kind of information as well is very, very helpful. So once you have all of that figured out, I really think that that's the key to being able to be a successful live shower, is knowing all of that information. But once you have kind of a firm grasp on that, or a little bit of a grasp, then we go on to actual preparation for the show. So my first point on this is only take your best models. Don't take, and by best models I mean, this is when knowing your mold conformation and your colors and breed information and all of that comes into play. So knowing that, say, Alborozo or Destato or the new Andalusian mare molds, those all show better than Esprit. So knowing that kind of information, and to say you have an Andalusian mare over an Esprit, I would take the Andalusian mare, and that would probably be your best choice. If you're a new shower or you're tight on space, it's very important to only take your best, so you're only taking 15 to 20 models or so you aren't overloading yourself, especially if it's your first show, because you want to save time so that you can talk with judges about your models, really understand how you're doing and all of that information, and then you can also have time to make friends. So you aren't just running around trying to show 40 horses, it's more about getting time to speak with the judges about your models and how you can improve your entries and making friends along the way, because Breyerfest is a very exciting time, and it's really a time that a bunch of people come together with the same interest, and it's really fun to talk to other collectors. The next point is to familiarize yourself with rules and show info. So this is when you look at the class lists and entries and stuff, and you look at the class information, and you understand what all of that is telling you, so that you know how many models you're allowed to take per class. In the Breyerfest Youth Showcase, it's only one model per class. That's why taking your best also comes into play, because you should just take the best model you have of that certain breed to increase your chances of getting a placing. And it also helps to narrow down your show string, too, knowing how many models per class you can bring. And then knowing if there's any model limitations. This could mean overall limitations into how many models you're allowed to take. Certain shows you can only have a max of 25 or 50 models and that kind of thing. I don't think there's any maximum amount with Breyerfest, but like I said, keep your show string a little bit small so that you have the personal time to spend with the judges and other collectors. And with Breyerfest, the Youth and Children's Show, there actually is a limitation in terms of types of models that you can bring. So you can only bring regular runs or previous Breyerfest releases, and I'm assuming Breyerfest releases means, store specials, celebration models, special runs, and like pop-up 10 models. Probably not raffle models, prize models, one-of-a-kind models, probably not those. You would have to double check with someone that is like part of the show if those would be allowed. But this means it also excludes, you can't bring JCPenney models, you can't bring Premier Club models, Vintage Club models, probably even Stablemate models, web specials, Tractor Supply models, mid-states releases. None of those horses would be eligible for this show, unfortunately. And next, I'm going to go into, the other thing too with the rules is just knowing the rules of the show halls. So traditionally, there's no running in show halls, there's no pets allowed, no small children, no, smoking, no radios going. Those are just a few I can name off the top of my head that are pretty consistent for most shows. And also, there is no no poor sportsmanship allowed either. So if your model doesn't place well, you can't go up to somebody else and be mean or rude to them about how their model placed and yours didn't and that kind of thing. That's not allowed at all, and you might be removed from the show hall if you do that. So just to keep those rules in mind as well. Those are very important for the safety and enjoyment of everybody around you. So now I'm going to go on to actually how to show your model. So I'll just show you a few up close things about the model I have here, and then I'll go into a few other things. And then there's also going to be a part 2 and possibly a part 3 to this video because I don't want it to be too terribly long. So this model here, this is Lady Bay. She is my Glossy Gigi Valentine. And these are her ribbons from Breyerfest 2012, which is the only year that I've gone to Breyerfest, and I showed in the youth show for the first and only time because now I'm too old to be eligible. She actually did win a first place in the sport something class. It was sport mayors and geldings or something. I can't remember the class anymore. And then she won champion of that division, and then she actually won overall halter grand champion. So I'm just going to go and show you with her how tags are written, how to put your stable identifier on, and then we'll go into a few other things as well. So traditionally, when showing a model, you're going to put them on the table on their show side. So her show side would be this side because it's the side that her face is kind of inclined towards, and her mane is kind of on this side. So if you flip her around, it kind of just looks weird to show her on this side. Like, she looks much more natural, like she would be going this way. So that's why this is the side that I would show her on. And then she has a tag. You can put the tag on any leg, but I like to put it if they're facing this way, I like to put it on this back leg here. So it's kind of out of the way, not really obstructing the model in any fashion. And on the tag, you're going to have your model's name. So I have Lady Bay, the breed, she's a Mecklenburg. The gender, she's a mare, and then your show number, which I just wrote for the sake of this tag, I just wrote Y35, which means youth show 35. If you're in the children's show, it'll be a C, and you will get this information like emailed to you or in the Facebook group or something of that sort, which I'm not a part of because I'm not going this year, but you will get this information somehow. And then on the back, you're just going to have your first name and your last name. And then in addition to the tag on your model, you're going to have a stable identifier. So that's what this ribbon is. Stable identifiers, it could be a ribbon, it could be a string, it can be any color, any pattern. It's just to be tied on your model in some place. Doesn't matter where you tie it. It could be the tail, it could be the leg. Traditionally, it's the tail. It could be anywhere, and wherever you put it, it will not affect how the judge views your model. So that's just your own personal touch for you to be able to identify your model on the table because there will be so many models shown. So that's that. And then we're going to go on to how I organize the models that I'm bringing. And then we'll go on to, and then I'll stop there, and then the next one will be references and what to do on show day, and then I'll go into the judge's mind a little bit. So in addition, what I do to help prepare myself a little bit is I make these sheets of paper that have the name of the show, the divisions and classes I'm showing in, and the names of the horses I'm showing, and then I have a place that I can record their placings. This is really great, just a really great way to stay organized. And it also allows you, you'll have all your placings in one place you can look back to, and you won't have to, write on the back of the ribbon or lose track of who got what. It's really a great organizational tool. So I have a few different ways that I've done it in the past. The first way over here, I just took the entire class list, and I highlighted the classes I was entering, and then put the models that I was entering, and then I recorded, whether they got something or not, and the check marks just mean that, I entered the horses in you know, like I put them up on the table. And then the slash with the 0 means they didn't place, and then B means breed, C is collectability, you know, W is workmanship, that kind of thing. And then this one, which I actually like a little bit better, this is, I have the class number, and then the horse's name, and then the placing. It's kind of like more space to write the placing. And so yeah, that's the other way that you can write it as well. So I like to do this, and then I also like to have a copy. This one kind of combines both, but if I was doing it this way, I also like to have a copy of the class list and have the classes highlighted that I'm entering. So this combines both of these ideas. This one I would print out a separate thing of the class list and actually highlight the classes that I was entering and look at that as well as looking at this. So that's where I'm going to stop this portion of the guide. Next I'm going to talk about references, which are extremely important, and I'll go more into what you actually do when you arrive and on show day, and talk to you a little bit about how a judge might think. Thank you so much for watching this first part of this Breyerfest live show guide. I really hope that it does help some of you, and good luck when you're showing, and I'll see you in the next part. Bye guys.